Hello, Mom is probably a lot more like me than both of us care to admit. Thank you so much for viewing this really short class. I'm hoping that it will help give you a little foundation on what coaching for moms of autistic children entails and how you can actually do it on yourself. I love helping moms. I think having a neutral party that doesn't have all of sort of the bias and just all the thoughts that you have, listening and helping you reflect back is so helpful. But you can also do a lot of this work totally on your own. So that's what I'm going to teach you today. This is the model. You see that I have it outlined here. And I'm going to show you how you use this system to evaluate your own situations and get like some leverage on them so they're not creating so much discomfort for you, or even sometimes just knowing why it's happening, it helps you to either let go of the way you're feeling about something or take the next step, evolve, whatever. So it's a really simple formula. It's called the model. And it starts with the circumstance. So, say for example, your kid, your autistic child, this is one that I dealt with recently, is vaping and doing illicit drugs. That's like the thing they're obsessed with. So, if you tell me, like, my kid is doing bad stuff, we would not put that in the circumstance because that's your opinion of what they're doing. So, we would just say, like, my kid is vaping and taking illegal drugs, or you want to use language that's super neutral because the circumstance, you don't want to have any emotion in it. You want to be able to prove like that's something that's true, because a lot of things are just our opinion about it, and yeah, it's true for us, but when you really dial down and make it like a very neutral, very absolute truth statement, then you can actually evaluate the way you're feeling and where it's coming from much more accurately, and it will be so much more useful to you. So you dial in your circumstance, like my kid is vaping and using some illegal drugs. Okay, that's your circumstance. And even if illegal, when you think illegal, if that makes you like, oh, like angry, hurt, whatever, use that out. Just using certain substances. Sometimes when I'm doing the model for myself, I just have to say, like, this person said words, because I don't have a way to describe what happened in a neutral language because I'm so amped up about it. And so you have to just dial it down as basic as possible so that when you say the circumstance, it's not charged with an emotion already just from the way you described it. Okay, so this is where you add in the emotion. The thought, number 2, the T, is for the thought you're having about it. So you're going to have a ton of thoughts, right? But you want to pick the one that's creating the feeling that you really don't like. So if you're like worried about your kid, so maybe your thought is he shouldn't be doing these things, or these things are really bad for him, or these things are creating more problems for him. Let's go with that one. These things are creating more problems for him. And when you go with that, so you just pick whichever thought you want. There's going to be a ton, but for each model, you're only going to use one thought about the circumstance, and you want to connect it to the feeling that is bothering you, right? So for example, this mom, she's bothered because she's worried, right, about this kid. So, and it could be something else. She could be like worried about herself. She could be worried about getting like in trouble, or she could just be like have a belief like he'll never get better from doing these things, or his life will never evolve. She could have any number of beliefs or thoughts about that circumstance that are causing her a problem, but that's where you want to pick the one that's really bothering you. And if you can't think of it right away, think of the feeling. So if the feeling is like so worried, okay, then it's probably a thought like he could die, or he could get in trouble or go to jail. Pick any of those. And then you connect the feeling with it if it's worry. If it's more something like he's a bad kid, that's a thought, right? Like you can't just take a blood test and be diagnosed with like you're a bad kid. That could be the thought that's really bothering you because it's creating shame for you or anger towards him, right? So that could be the one. So you pick the one that's bothering you. That's why I'm saying it. The feeling kind of will help you go back to the thought that is the one that you really want to dial into. Okay, so we're going to stick with the worry though. So then you want to go to A for actions. What are the actions you're taking when you're worried? Maybe you're pestering him. Maybe you're not sleeping well. Maybe you're constantly checking on him. Maybe you're assuming that he's doing things he's not supposed to do because you're worried. Maybe you're kind of not connecting in a loving way, but you're always like, what are you doing? Why did you do that? And it's always sort of a negative interaction because you're so racked with worry. So just write it all down. And this is like, I would take lots of liberties here. Whereas with circumstance, you want to dial it in. Really specific, really direct. But in the actions, I would just throw everything out there. Everything that you're like, what am I doing? Or what am I not doing? Like maybe I didn't say hi. Maybe I didn't offer dinner. Maybe I didn't, things that if you hadn't been worried, that you would have done, I would put those on there too, because you want like the things you do and the things you don't do. And like you're so busy thinking about worry, you didn't even think about what, you want to get as much information as you can in the action, because it's going to really help you see the power of that thought. And that's what we're really looking for here, because we don't realize these thoughts are actually creating our last one, the result. So when you're constantly checking on your child and you're not sleeping well and all your interactions are negative and you're not finding ways to connect positively, what kind of result does that create? Like you're not taking care of the relationship that you want to have with your child, right? Like you're worried that they're causing harm to themselves, but that thought and that reaction is actually creating harm to your relationship with your kid. And I guarantee that's not the result you want. That's why this is so powerful. Because just like anything that we kind of set and forget, we're really not paying attention to why it's turning out the way it is, right? Because we just think we're being acted upon, right? We're like, we can't control these things. But when you actually pay attention to what you're thinking and the feelings it creates, the actions that feeling is driving, and the result that you're getting, you realize I actually have more power here than I thought I did. I thought I had to feel worried. I thought I had to believe that. But you can change it. Sometimes you just notice and you're like, I don't want to be worried. Like, what else could I be? So, for example, if I was coaching someone that was talking to me about this, I would say, how do you want to feel about your child? And if they said, I want to feel like he's going to be okay, then I would help you think of a thought that you can believe that creates that feeling of like peace or confidence. In my own life, I've had to do that a lot with my kids. And I look for things that I can believe. Sometimes I can see it right away and be like, oh yeah, I'm worrying about something that I have no control over. So I could pick a thought like, I don't have control over what he does, but I have control over how I love and support him. And that thought could help me to show up with more loving, less like trying to boss and micromanage and like question, and help me to have more energy of connection and curiosity about their life and even belief that they'll probably be okay, So this is the power of coaching. If you have questions, you know how to find me. If you're getting my emails, you can always click on that link that will schedule a call. You can always reach out to me on Instagram. I love coaching people. I love helping people with this stuff. It has changed my life, and I know it will do the same for you. Thanks for being here. Bye.